Hello everybody, I'm here with Jennifer Roig-Francoli and she is from the Art of Freedom for Musicians. She is a violinist and Baroque violinist and also an Alexander technique teacher. And in this interview we're going to talk about the mindset for music. And before we dive into the topic, can you tell us something about your background and how you came to starting the Art of Freedom? And welcome, of course.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Zlata. It's so kind of you to welcome me to your show here, and I'm really happy to be able to talk with you and express my love of music, for one thing. That always comes first, and to teach other violinists and musicians, how to really get in touch with that deep love of your music, your passion for what you're doing, so that you can really express it through your mind, your body, your whole self, and out your instrument. That's basically what I do. I've been a violinist my whole life, and my family is musicians too, so I've grown up with music. And when I was a kid and a teenager, I was single-mindedly focused on becoming a soloist, and I did everything you're supposed to do. I did competitions and won and performed with orchestras and Carnegie Hall and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very fortunate in many, many ways and well supported by my family and teachers. So, but it's interesting because when I was 19, I went through a major shift in my life and I changed direction completely. I got married very soon. I was 20.
Wow.
And just changed everything about my perspective on life. And I kind of forgot about music for a long time. Didn't forget about it. I kept playing, but I didn't practice for about 25 years.
Wow.
I kept performing and I maintained my skills, but I didn't care about improving.
Okay.
And during that long period, I went through quite a lot of, great times, huge highs, but also real lows, and I experienced physical pain and emotional pain, and finally all of that started making me miserable. And that's when I found the Alexander technique, because I had neck pain, and the neck pain wouldn't go away when I went to the doctor. The doctor didn't help, chiropractic didn't help, exercise, yoga, meditation, those things, some they helped a little bit, but they didn't get to the root of the problem that I had. But Alexander technique was like this miracle that came along and really, really, really helped. It got rid of my neck pain really quick. I was lucky. It's not always instant for people, but it was for me. And I just felt great. And I kept taking Alexander lessons to learn more. And I ended up doing the teacher training, which takes 3 years to get certified. And then I started sharing my discoveries about how powerful the mind is to make changes in your life, in your body, and ultimately in your music making. And so then I started teaching. I've been teaching at the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music on the faculty for years. And I have my business now where I mostly teach online to musicians of all kinds. And I teach people how to really get in touch with the coordination of the mind and the body and how to apply yourself to your instrument to make your best music and enjoy what you're doing. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell. It's obviously a long story, but hopefully that gives a little background of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, certainly. And I think a lot of people who play on an amateur level or just got started, most of the times they think that they have to kind of plunge themselves into only technique, and that then suddenly after 10 or 20 years there comes a moment when you perfect everything, and then it will be like a hallelujah, and then suddenly we'll be able to express your emotions and stuff. Well, I think it's far more going on at the same time.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally, Zlata. That is it. If you are starting, and I work with lots of beginners from scratch, so I work with all kinds, very experienced professionals and baby beginners. Not babies, I mean adults mostly.
Yeah.
But it's not true. People think you have to, develop all these techniques with like what to do with your body first, but that's just going about it backwards. I always tell people you have to start with why. You have to know why you want to be a musician. And that really, if you examine deeply, like why you're doing it, it always comes down to because you want to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
You love music. It makes you happy, or you wouldn't want to be a musician. There's no way you would go through all the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't love it. So really, really remembering every single day, asking yourself afresh, why do I want to do that? And getting in touch with your deepest reasons for doing it. And it comes down to love. And doing it for yourself has to come first, not for somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you get in touch with that why, that purpose, then the next question is how. And that's where what I've learned through Alexander Technique is incredibly valuable, because we have all these habits of tension that we carry around all day long that we don't even know that we have. And so if you're bringing a stressful day or anger or frustration about something that happened on the road, you're bringing road rage into your practice room and you start practicing your scales, you are actually practicing how to get really good at playing your instrument with excess tension. And you may learn that scale really fast, but you're going to learn how to do it with everything tight and you're not in touch with the joy that's in you. You're still like bringing stuff that happened in the past. And we need to, as musicians, really be in the present moment with every note and present to how we're feeling in our bodies, what our emotions are, being in touch with your thinking, really just learning how to integrate your whole self and putting yourself as a priority. And the love and the music and that whole mindset has to come first. And then the amazing thing is that the technique comes out of that.
Yeah.
Your technique is so much easier to learn and so much faster when you put yourself first, not the vibrato or the bow hold. Those things are secondary.
Yeah.
Your well-being has to be first. It makes everything easier.
Yeah, the how follows the why, so to say.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's also something I experienced myself. You know, if you're in a conservatory training and you're under a lot of pressure and you are thinking that you have to study your scales for a fixed number of hours a day or whatever, then there's really no point. It doesn't have the optimal outcome as well. So it's not that you just hate it, but you also don't get the result.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, even if you are really passionately practicing for 5 hours, you can bring a lot of passionate tension to what you're doing. And that tension is actually sabotaging the results, but you won't feel that because you're into it. So,
yeah.
You know, one has to keep stepping back and checking in with oneself. This is where, you know, constructive thinking techniques with Alexander Technique are very useful, because we're constantly stopping to ask ourselves, what do I notice about myself right now?
Yeah.
And then you can start to notice the tension, and you can allow it to dissolve with the skills that you learn. And then you bring a nice, free, open self to your music making, where your fingers move faster and, you know, your wrist can do what it needs to do for staccato, and your vibrato is just going, and you can watch it and like, wow, it's easy today.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, and what I hear a lot from certainly people who do other things in the day and might go out of a stressful work day and the traffic and whatnot, maybe some personal stuff, and then they practice. And the thing is that they take all this tension, like you said, into this practicing. And it would be nice if they had a way to let that music making be a way of relaxing and not a way of, you know, creating more tension. Or do you have tips for people who get out of a busy workday and how to relax, how to get into that flow?
That's just such a great question. I'm really glad you asked that, because I actually do have a basic Alexander Technique etude that takes 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's so easy to learn. I'm not going to teach it to you right here in this video, but I would encourage anybody who's watching, who's curious, who could discover this etude. I have a YouTube video. People can I can send you the link, Zlata.
Yeah, I'll post a link in the description below, so everybody interested can just click that. Yeah,
so it's a very powerful 2-minute etude that helps you come back to yourself in the moment. You start to notice ease in yourself. You let go of the stress from the day and all that tension. And little by little with practice, I have my students do it twice a day, every day. I think it's the best warm-up for any musical practice. So if all my students do it, I do it almost every single time I pick up my violin. I stop and I do my 2-minute cycle. And I would love for everyone out there to know this because it can cause breakthroughs, really.
Okay, good. I'll definitely link to that. And then maybe what a lot of people struggle with is performing, even if it's just for a couple of friends. Can you say something about how to be able to relax and get into the flow in the moment that others are watching?
Yeah, that's really tough for a lot of people. I mean, you can sound great in the practice room, right? And you're like, everything's great. And then somebody comes in and you go,
Yeah.
and you start to feel all that performance anxiety kick in. You know, it doesn't even have to be on stage. Some people just play for their teacher and get really nervous, or for a friend. So it's something that is very common, and I've experienced that before myself. And really, there are very, very specific techniques that you can use that are very simple. And the cycle, the Alexander Technique Etude that I just told you about, it was actually created by another Alexander teacher named Mio Morales. Okay. That is, you know, if you practice that twice a day, you start to get really connected with what's going on inside of yourself so that you're preparing in advance for the unexpected. So before you go on stage, if you have this skill of being able to bring yourself back to center, back to the present, you can learn how to do that really, really quickly and easily. And then, you know, with even more practice, you can do it in the middle of a piece when you're on stage. I can do that now. But it's something that just takes a little bit of intention, clear intention, and practice. And you don't have to take my word for it. You know, just try it, experiment. And anybody out there can, you know, if you've got performance anxiety, I also have a 5-day challenge for the cycle. It's free. People can do it twice a day for 5 days, and you'll see. I can guarantee you're going to notice a difference. And if you keep up that practice of doing the cycle, then when you go backstage and you start to get nervous, you're going to know what to do. Yeah. You're going to know how to come back to yourself, and you won't feel perfect immediately, but you're stopping the cycle of your brain producing and your body producing stress chemicals that go through your bloodstream and make you shake and everything. You can stop that cycle. Yeah. You can prevent it from getting worse. And then your body starts to relax and you realize, oh, I'm safe. Nobody's going to shoot me on stage. I'm not going to die.
Yeah, in general, not.
So there are really very simple things you can do.
Okay, that's good to hear, because what I experienced myself is that, you shouldn't resist all the, if you get scared or tightened up, and then people start resisting that and creating more tension, and then you get into a negative cycle, as you call it. Yeah. And you need to find ways and also practice ways to get out of it.
That's right. You're spot on. This is something that it's like you have a thought. It all starts up here. It's all a thought. Like, what are they going to think of me, for instance? And as soon as you have that thought, it triggers a chain reaction in your brain and your body that takes you into fight, flight, freeze response. It takes you into startle, and that messes with your coordination and it messes with your breathing. Then your brain goes on alert. Hey, there's something wrong. We should be scared. Yeah. And then your whole system continues that and makes it worse. So what is possible to do is not fight with it. Like you're saying, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just practice the awareness skills that you've learned and that, I can teach you if anybody's interested. You can learn how to do this, and instantly you can stop it. Just stop it in its tracks. And it is easy with practice, but practice is key. Consistency. Yeah. You can't expect to be able to be backstage in the moment right before you go on and try it for the first time and have it work. Forget it. Yeah, yeah. Just the violin for years before you go on stage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
at least months. And so, of course, you got to practice your mind-body skills of awareness and how to deal with performance anxiety for a little while before you can expect to get the results too. Everything you want takes a little bit of work, a little bit of practice.
Yeah, but I think it's also a good a viewpoint that it's a learnable skill and that it's not something that, oh, I've got stage fright, now my life ends or whatever.
It's not something that's happening to you. It's something you're doing in your brain. And you learn to stop doing it once you realize what you're doing. First, you have to know what you're doing. Then you have to have the skills to say, oh, heck, that's not helping me. I'm going to stop doing that. And then learn how to think constructively instead. And that works. And it feels great, too. It makes everything you do so much more fun when you're not in fear and you're in love.
Then you can actually enjoy your performance. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights. And I'll link to the cycle and everything you mentioned in the description below. So really go there. Well, thank you. And you'll be back for another interview. And that's more about the physical aspects of playing, to be able to play comfortably and without pain. But thank you for this one.
Thank you, Zlata. This was really fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.